Wagwan Nanji. It's a normal kind of video today. One that comes with music. Because the topic I'm talking about is one that's been burning for a while on the back of my burner. You saw the title, but I don't know if you're prepared for where this is gonna go. So, Gina Carano is being bullied, was being bullied, still kinda is being bullied by people for having the audacity to not use pronouns. And the answer I ask to you is not, what do you think of this? It is, how are you enjoying your taste of socialism? Are you enjoying the examples of collective thought and the eager demand that people think that their anger justifies the constant ongoing righteous indignation to cause social terror? Because you see, a lot of people will miss the important part here in this entire situation, which, if we're gonna start, is like three things. Number one, Gina Carano is a goddess. Literal manifestation. Woman amongst men. Out here. Specimen. Two, this is just more of the same shit, but a different tone and flavor. I'll get into that in a second. Number three, this is what happens when you allow for what I like to call the Necro Dogma to go too far. That might feel like it's weird, but I'll explain. Recently, I bullied a little dull trans grifter called Lachlan, better probably recognized and known as Pedantic Romantic, here on YouTube and wherever Lachlan and Lachlan accessories can be found. I mocked them to their face about how fucking wrong they were about Funimation, and also how wrong they were not just about Funimation and anime in general, but most especially how wrong they were about Crunchyroll and their origins. The conversation itself was about how Crunchyroll committed several felonies in lying to people, using the illegal streaming service behavior and business that they were running to then buy the rights to anime, to then turn around and go legit, while never being punished for the original crimes and felony that got them the business that they have. This led into a very interesting conversation, where Lachlan's choice, and I'm calling Lachlan Lachlan and not Pedantic Romantic, because I'm talking about the person who operates the account and hides behind the identity, not the person who's the identity itself. I told Lachlan to her face, because we're not transphobic here, that if you're going to address the problem, you need to say, yes, I understand that it's a piracy website and it started as one, and also they committed felony. And instead, what Lachlan chose to do was essentially say, lol, this man's retarded. Now, those of you who've been watching my content of recent, you know that I record videos on Twitter when I'm replying to things now. And I don't do it just to put my happy little face on a camera. I do it because it requires context when you're dealing with severe, heavy topics and situations. And, well, as you can see here, it seems that Lachlan did not have the intentions like I thought at the time. Exactly as I expected, and exactly according to Keikaku. You see, this right here is deeply connected to Gina Carano's situation for several reasons, and it kind of goes all the way back to when Hirohei was being antagonized by Pedro over the jokes. You remember. You if you don't remember, I'll fill you in. Lachlan was throwing a hissy fit because Lachlan's position is to do what a family member of mine is confused and thinks that I do, which is to actually act as the joke police for people on the internet. In this case, Lachlan representing the big gay lobby. They were upset because of a Pokemon joke on Fusion in the thumbnail. And I could see what this was. It was a power grab, because it was just more of that same old gay cancel culture that I really don't like any gay nerd getting into. But I made a take while I was dressing her down, and that take, after I exposed her in all of her nudity and nakedness, was that this is exactly why people do not like pronouns. Now, these were my exact words here, and I would like to ask you in the comments, was I wrong? Because I don't think I was wrong. I think, if anything, this situation shows me exactly how very fucking right I am. Because this is around the exact same time that I started to change the way that I perceived the issue of not just pronouns, but also of what I like to call the culture vultures. Constantly picking and picking and picking and picking and picking and picking at issues so they can have justified reason to stand on a fucking soapbox and say, I'm the reason why we're right, as they act like politicians, as one does. But the overall idea here is simple, right? Language is how we all discuss things with each other. Knowing that he is she and her is him and it is them and they is how we're able to confer the things about a person, place, and thing and or idea. When you add in the 72 xenogender flavors to the circle of Baskin Robbins that we call the politic of language, what we're really discussing is, well, to give you a visual aid, people taking actual badges and patches and a big old nice little sash that is the bio of any profile and affixing it to themselves like they're trying to be the social justice warrior master, where once you finish the first pen set, you get +1 to your rights to cancel. It is a problem for many reasons, but the most important problem is very clear when you get right fucking down to it. When you attack people like this, when you tell them that they need to say the words, when they need to do this and they need to do that, it's no longer about doing it for people's preferences to make them feel safe. You're doing it to disseminate to the audience that you have the power to do this to them. Because if your concern was people's safety and security, you would not be antagonizing them. You would not be bullying them. And you would not be trying to attack them in mobs. Because if you had the ability to ask for it, you would ask for it alone, by a person, by yourself, for yourself, between a one-on-one conversation, face to face. That's how that works. When you do it in mob, you are following, in all the ways, the activities of actual cultural Marxists. To be exact, communists. And to be explicit, brutalism. I would direct a person to someone like Short Fat Otaku to talk about the political angle of exactly how brutalism worked inside of socialism and communism, but I'll give you the rundown version of it. You see, it's actually torture. That's realistically what it is. It goes back to the centers of the struggle session, the original form of cancel culture, where an entire mob of people surround a person and make them say the words. You know, a good example for those who probably don't remember is the example of that one episode in the Next Generation, or any example sourced from 1984, most especially this one. For example, the recent news about 2 + 2 actually equaling 5. It's an interesting concept, you see. You put a person in a room and you tell them that there are 4 lights while shining 4 bright lights in their face, right? Then you keep torturing them, tell you that there are 5 lights while you keep them in that desensitized environment where they are losing grasp of their sanity and of what's happening around them. Does that sound familiar to you? It should, because it's the reason why I chose the thumbnail to be the thumbnail. People surrounding people out in public at restaurants and terrorizing them, and doing so because they think they're standing up for Black Lives Mattering, They are the example of that 4 bright lights in your face. Because there ain't no kind of light that's more dazzling than a punch to your jawline. And it's the threat of the violence. It's the threat of removing the norm. It's the constant social invasion. It's the erosion of the things you like and love and that make you feel comfortable, that you can seek solace into, and have escapism that allows this to happen. Even in the case of the scholars, plural, I wasn't paying attention at the time, so I'm not completely sure. I think Michelle did a video on this, actually. The scholars who said, you need to decolonize your mind because actually math is whiteness, despite algebra coming from the Abrahamic religions of the Islam scholars that rediscovered it and spread it, why it's named that. Despite that, they are telling you, you are colonized. You're colonized in the mind of the whiteness. Therefore, you need to reject even the concepts that we've come to understand are mutable. 2 + 2 = 4. But, with enough conditions, 2 + torture = 5. And realistically, that's what was happening to Gina Carano. An entire mob of people demanded that she put pronouns in her bio. And that's the reason why I called it Necro Dogma. Because it's an extension of the brain rot. This is how it multiplies, you see. It's why I say a phrase very often when I make those videos I make on the social media platform, where we all are suffering from the exposure to brain rot. Statements and words and sentences like, if that's what you want to call it, and also speaking the words real and imagined. The lights, the situation, the footing that you're on. That's the real, and what they are telling you need to accept. The shit that you're being presented in college, or were being presented in college, because there shouldn't be no colleges open now. What they're trying to get you to believe, with their sociological arguments that were designed to win an ideological argument. Years onwards from the 60s. The constant decolonization of your mind. The reshuffling of not just the goalposts, but also of entire definitions. The redefining of the dictionary definition of words. It is all subversion, and it is subversion to make you snap. Granted, if you were just able to stay indoors and stay safe and not have to go out into the outside world, even if the rest of the world got infected, you could be able to at least inoculate your own mind. That's why they hound people. Because you see, when I made that take, I was not the only person who had that take in that situation. All the way back when we were defending Hirohei, it was Dimitri that made this take here. And the reason why I think he said it is because it's very obvious. The majority of the people who demand other people do what they say are the ones who constantly accuse other people of being transphobic, of being misogynistic, of being not just general woman haters, but of also being incels. A word that means nothing now. They're lunatics, like I called them, like in the last video. Here, there, you want to look at that. The reason I called them social lunatics, that were trying to convince people that they were super in the inside crowd and cool, is because they were sold on the same lie that someone forced on them, or God forbid, they took up willingly, and to make sure they keep the stranglehold of power that they were promised they would have, and that they've been working to keep, and have been trying to push to gain. Because remember, there is no such thing as the normalcy of not constantly being jacked in to the party politic. You must represent your side, because everything you're doing is you defending yourself against the violence of something else. It is why they have been forcing themselves into every topic, into every hobby, and into every industry. It's to take away your safety net. There is no way for you to turn. Everything must be political, because everything is political, despite the fact that you can't find out what the fucking meaning is. So, if you take away the net for you to play video games, if you take away the net to play tabletop games with your friends, both online and in person. If you take away the safety net for people to be safe to say it in places like, general fucking public. If you take away every single place where free speech is supposed to be allowed, especially the freedom of individuality and expression, if you're not constantly bending to the mob by doing what the fuck they want, and not mocking them at every turn, speaking your fucking allegiance to this fucking brain rot cult, the Necro Dogma, the demand that you bend the fucking knee, which is what they want, is inevitably either going to claim you or claim somebody near you. The only way to fight back against it is to tell them to go fuck themselves, but that leaves you open to potentially being attacked, which is what happened to Gina. And much like how it happened to Gina, and much like how it happens to me on a semi-regular basis at this point, if not on an hourly fucking rotation, it is what this problem is about. The only way to solve the problem is to mock these people to their face. Because, you see, when Gina was going through this, there was plenty of messages that they were getting. And of course, retweeting things is not the same thing as archiving it and keeping a screenshot of it handy in case you need to be able to prove that it happened. But guess what? Gina did. And we were able to see the point and the problem that was happening. See, most people try to turn inwards and just ignore the mob, but the way to really push back against this isn't just you and I saying, hey, can you leave me the fuck alone? It's hoping that the celebrities are at least somewhat aware of what's going on here. And they say, hey, get the fuck out of here with that gay shit. I ain't about that gay nerdism. It's honestly, it's refreshing. It's breathtaking. It's like a weight got taken off my chest when I saw that happen. Like, whew, she's safe. All in all, it's ultimately meaningless shit that only matters if you actually care about, everything happening around you. You could stay locked indoors, like I said, and then you're permanently safe from it. But if there's anything outside of this that you can really take hold, it's know that you're safe in the security of your mind. And as long as you're willing to push back against it, as long as you're not willing to admit and say on camera from a struggle session that 2 plus torture equals 5, you will be okay. You might get dinged up, you might get banged up, but eventually this ship's gonna right its course if we push back, because it's been far too long. There's too much, and there's too little, and there's too many things that can still go awry and go bad. There's no guarantee that we're all gonna come out of this safe, by the way. And I'm sorry for those who expect probably more of the shit that I've been promising that I'd do. I started a new job, and that job is going to consume a lot more of my time. I'll probably update you properly on what's going on in another video, but it's just been consuming a lot of my time, and it will consume a lot of my time. It's going to be a daily thing. I'm only going to have my mornings to do editing and recording, so I just gotta, get it out. But if you, and I say this here now, because I'm going to probably start saying it more, if you would like to see more of that content that I promise come out soon, all you gotta do is just stay tuned. Don't need to give me no money. You don't need to give me no time. All you gotta really do is just show up where Carl and Carl accessories can be found. And I will do my best, and we will do our best, and we will laugh at the gay nerds, because that's all we can do, is laugh to hide the pain. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Bon nuit. Bon nuit to you all. Ooh, that's hurting my brain. Ooh, shit.